What does your body feel like in zero gravity?
What inspires you to become an astronaut?
What exercise do you do? And do you sweat in space?
Would a yo-yo work in microgravity?
So it works.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, we are ready.
Tulsa Air and Space Museum, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Voice check. Good morning.
Good morning, Tulsa Air and Space. We hear you loud and clear. Welcome to the International Space Station.
Thank you, and welcome to the Tulsa Air and Space Museum and Planetarium, where our mission is to preserve Oklahoma's aerospace heritage and inspire science-based learning through discovery. We appreciate this special message from the new NASA Administrator, Jim Bridenstine, and thank him for his time and kind words of encouragement. We have Oklahoma students joining us in our planetarium today to ask some really great, interesting.
Our first question. Hi, my name is Camry Hawkins. I go to Mayo Demonstration School of Science and Technology. My question is, how do astronauts get haircuts in space?
It's funny you should ask. We just took care of that on Saturday. We have all the hair cutting equipment up here, and I personally happen to have the second worst barber in the solar system. This guy right here, who has probably the worst barber in the solar system. So we cut each other's hair. We're a little concerned when the next crew arrives, not so much for Alex Gerst because he doesn't have a whole lot of hair, but we have Serena coming up, and I'm not sure who's going to take care of hers.
Okay, our second question.
Hi,
John
my name is...
Burnett from Okmulgee. My question is, how early do you have to wake up on the International Space Station, and are spacesuits comfortable to wear?
That's a good question. Well, in terms of the time, we go by essentially London time. It's Greenwich Mean Time, and we get up at about 6 a.m. each day, and bedtime starts at 9:30 p.m. In terms of spacesuits, you see, we're not wearing spacesuits right now. We just wear regular clothing just like you're wearing in the classroom. The spacesuits we wear to go out on a spacewalk, I would not classify as comfortable to wear. They're adequate, and they're very effective for the work that we do outside.
Thank you. Our next question.
Hi, my name is Hugh Baxter. I go to Mayo Demonstration School, and my question is, do astronauts get to keep their spacesuits? How do spacesuits end up in museums, and what do they smell like?
I think you're talking about the suits we wear when we launch into space, and maybe the spacesuits we wear when we do a spacewalk. No, sadly, those spacesuits, so we do not get to keep them. They are used once they're no longer suitable for spaceflight. They are used for training suits, and then when they're no longer usable for training, then they are then available for use by museums and other organizations. As for smell, we take pretty good care of them. We keep them nice and clean, and they're really not used all that often, so they just kind of smell like the material they're made of.
Our next question.
My name is Daniel Houghton. I am homeschooled, and my question is, what type of food do you eat in space? Is it all dehydrated or some of your food fresh? Do you get any of your favorite foods while on the International Space Station?
Good question about food. I would say probably 30 to 40% of our food is dehydrated. That includes meats and vegetables. And then some of our food is ready to eat, a lot like camping food that you'd take with you on a trip, where you can just open a package, and at that point you have the choice of either warming it up or cooling it off or just eating it at room temperature. And for favorite foods and fresh food, we do get fresh food when we have cargo supply ships that show up. We just had some fresh food with SpaceX 14, and we've got a new supply ship, Cygnus, arriving here in about a week and a half, and we hope to get some fresh food there. and also some of our favorite foods. Ricky's actually got some maple syrup down here in the galley, and that goes great with waffles, and that's not something that's on the standard menu, but one of our favorite foods.
Wonderful. And we have our next question.
Hi, my name is Jefferson Roby from Mayo Demonstration School. How often do astronauts get sick or have sinus infections in space?
Fortunately, not very often. We're very lucky in that we have a doctor with us, a Japanese astronaut who's with us on our mission, but he goes home in a few weeks, and we're really lucky because he's being replaced with another NASA astronaut who happens to be a doctor. But generally, people stay pretty healthy up here. We don't have diseases. We try to be careful not to bring diseases to the International Space Station. Really, the challenges, physical challenges we have are our bodies adapting to life and microgravity. So we don't get sinus infections, but sometimes we can get really congested because the fluid in our bodies shifts and things like that. So it's usually just kind of your body adjusting to life in a very different environment.
Thank you. Our next question.
My name is Jack Sewell. I am from Bishop Kelly High School, and my question is, has your view of life and the world changed since you've gone to space? And if so, how?
I think so. I've been an astronaut for 18 years, and this is the third time I've had an opportunity to view Earth from space, and I don't think there's an astronaut that wouldn't agree that we all, I think, get a different perspective once we see Earth from space. And I think many people in the public have heard about us talking about the fact that there are no borders from space. We only see land masses, and we only see one planet that all humans exist on. And it really gives you a sense of humility to think about the fact that the planet's all on its own, and also a desire to wish that all humans could see Earth from space the way we do. And we try to share images in pictures, but there's really no words that can describe, I think, what we see, nor the emotions that we feel when we see that. And so for me, I've taken a different viewpoint on Earth, and one where I wish that we worked better in harmony to get along on the surface of the Earth.
Thank you. And our next question.
Hi, my name is Elijah Armendariz. I'm from Booker T. Washington High School. Why did you become an astronaut, and what are some things that made you want to go into space?
Watching people do this job, it always fascinated me that people get to go live and work in space, and I was really fortunate to be selected to become an astronaut, and then to be able to fly both on the space shuttle and now to spend a long period of time on the International Space Station. So, but it was just the work. The work looked fascinating. I think the exploration component really appealed to me, and just the opportunity to experience something that very few people get to experience.
Thank you. And our next question.
Hey, I'm Cade Perez from Okmulgee High School, and my question is, what do you guys do for fun up there, and do you guys ever get bored?
It's hard to get bored up here because there is a lot to do. We like to take pictures out the window. We like to play music. We like to do flips and spins while we're in space, and try to fly through the space station if we can without hitting anything. So there's a lot to do. We also like to communicate with our families on a regular basis, and we can do that through email and phone calls. So we really don't get bored, and there are a lot of fun things to do. Again, music's important for us here as well. We're either listening to music or actually playing music, but we usually don't get bored. You could stare at the Earth forever, really, and not do anything else and still have a great time.
Thank you. And the next question.
Hi, my name is Raul Hernandez, and my question is, was anyone in your family a pilot, engineer, or astronaut, or had another similar job that made you want to follow in their footsteps and become an astronaut?
That's an interesting question, because there have been people who followed in their parents' footsteps to do this job. But I think the main thing we get from our parents and our family is the values that motivate and drive them. And no, my father was self-employed. My mother was a nurse, but they were both incredibly hard workers. And I think I learned that value from them. And if you work hard and apply yourself, there's a lot of amazing things you can accomplish in whatever you choose to do.
Wonderful. And our next question.
My name's Lauren McDowell. I'm from Butner School. My question is, what do you think the biggest challenges will be for the astronaut going to Mars?
I think right now that's hard to say. We know what the challenges of being in space are. We know what the challenges of operating in zero gravity are. One of the biggest risks we face up here is radiation. That'll be especially true, radiation exposure, as we're out past the magnetosphere of the Earth. And I think the duration of the missions could be challenging, but that's all going to be a function of propulsion systems. If we manage to achieve the ability to get there much quicker, we can reduce the total length of time that we're away. And then just the distance itself, not having immediate response or assistance in the case of a contingency. So there are a number of factors that could come into play, but a lot of it's going to depend on the technology that we develop before we get there and the advancements we make in human habitability of our spacecraft before we start those journeys.
Our next question.
Hi, I'm Skylar Ewing from Mayor Demonstration. My question is, what kind of astronaut training surprised you the most?
It's a very timely question. Drew and I were just talking about this over the weekend, probably while I was giving him this really bad haircut. But the thing that surprised me the most, I think, and maybe Drew as well, was how much neither of us were pilots when we arrived to NASA, and just how much we enjoyed learning to fly aircraft. It was a pleasant surprise to be kind of mid-career and be given an opportunity to learn to fly multiple types of airplanes, and it was just a real thrill for both of us.
And our next question.
Hi, my name is Jaylee Norberg. I'm from Omogi High School. How do you sleep in space, and is it hard to?
You know, I've been talking about that question with my family lately, and I can tell you that we sleep in space just like you see us right now. So, and sort of my complaint is that the difference between being awake and being asleep is nothing. There's no change in your body position. There's no change in the way you're oriented. We generally sleep, well, Ricky and I sleep with our heads up with respect to each other, but our crewmates who are sort of across the cabin from us are horizontal compared to us, and we climb into a sleeping bag at night. But I can tell you that the difference between working on my computer, which is outside of my sleeping bag, and climbing in the sleeping bag is practically zero. The only difference is in one case I turn off the light and close my eyes. In the other case, the light is on and my eyes are open. So it can be challenging to do that and to get to make that transition from sleeping in a bed. You don't have that comforting feeling of laying down. You're just floating in a sleeping bag, and it does take some time to get used to, and I think we're both still getting used to it.
Yeah.
Our next question.
Hi, my name is David Dunlap. I'm from Omogi High School, and my question is, how many hours a day do you work, and what do you do?
Yeah, so we have 8.5 hours a day. It's kind of our work day. Sometimes it's a little more. Frequently it's a little more. Sometimes it's a little less. It's 6.5 of that time, hours of that time is scheduled for us by the ground. We do have some flexibility in the schedule, and we also exercise a couple hours a day to help keep ourselves healthy for return to Earth, and also for our wellness up here. And every day is different. That's kind of the really nice, exciting thing about it. This morning, we were working on one of the environmental life control systems to help purify the air first thing in the morning. Then we were right here at our robotics workstation. Scott Tingle and I, next week, are going to capture a visiting vehicle that's going to bring a whole bunch of payloads and supplies to us. And then after we're done with this, I'm going to work on this combustion integrated rack. It's a science project run out of Huntsville, and I'm going to be helping them set up for some future experiments in combustion. And then later in the day, we have a spacewalk. Drew and I have a spacewalk on Wednesday, and we'll be doing some preparation for that. So every day is different. It's a real smorgasbord of activities, and it keeps the days fun and interesting.
Wonderful. And our next question.
Hi, I'm Morgan McCoy from Booker T. Washington High School. My question is, what is your favorite experiment or mission to work on? And also, where are you right now above the Earth?
You caught us off guard on that one. I think we're over Europe.
America, and we're heading toward Africa.
Yeah, we're headed towards Africa right now. we'll be back around the Earth in another 90 minutes. In terms of my favorite mission or experiment, I would say every mission, we consider a mission to space. So this being my third, I think every mission has been my favorite, and each one tops the last. In terms of experiments, I don't think I've found my favorite yet, and I'm not sure I'm going to. As Ricky mentioned, we work on something different every day and multiple times a day. And so it's really tough to pick one that's my favorite. I would say the ones where I can get my hands busy, either repairing, replacing, renovating equipment. That's what I like to do, as opposed to just writing down data fields or breaking down an experiment. I like to set things up and get them working, and then go from there.
Our next question.
Hi, my name is Ava Kirkendall from Mayo Demonstration School, and my question is, how do you talk to your family on Earth?
How do we talk to our family on Earth? We have a couple of ways. The primary one is we have a voice over internet telephone, which is really nice. So we can dial anyone on Earth just to say hello, as long as we have satellite coverage. And I'm able to do that almost every day. It's a matter of finding the time when I'm awake and the people on the ground are awake and available. And then once a week, we have a really nice opportunity to sit down and do a live video conference with our families, and that's usually on the weekends, and that can last about an hour or so. So it's a real nice way for everyone to keep in touch.
Wonderful. Next question.
Hi, my name is Jessica Grimes. I come from Mayo Demonstration, and my question is, how do you wash your clothes?
Well, you might be surprised to know that we do not wash our clothes ever. We wear clothes, and then we send them back in our supply ships to disintegrate over the Earth as they re-enter the atmosphere. We have to wear our clothes for multiple times during the week, and fortunately we have enough clothing shipped up that we never really run out. But for example, this shirt, or the t-shirt I was wearing before I put this on, has to last me for 1 week. And these pants I'm wearing are good for 30 days. So we just keep re-wearing our clothes. The socks that I have on, those socks are good for 1 week. And I'll get another pair for next week. Other than that, we send them home.
Thank you. Next question.
I'm Miles Buss from Shawnee. I'm homeschooled, and my question is, how do you celebrate birthdays on the International Space Station?
Well, we haven't had one since I've been here, but Drew will have one while we're here. It'll have way too many candles for us to actually use candles on the cake this year, but we celebrate just like on Earth. I would imagine there'll be some presents on the way on one of the cargo ships for Drew, some small gifts from his family. We'll probably have a nice little dinner and maybe some cake, and just have a nice evening together celebrating his birthday.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Lainey Robb. I'm from Mayo Elementary School. My question is, what kind of plants are growing on the International Space Station?
Great question. And we do grow plants. Until recently, we just recently stopped growing plants on ISS temporarily. We have an onion as a demonstration here. That was some fresh food that came up on one of our supply ships, and our Russian colleagues taped a water pouch to the bottom of it, and we can water it frequently, and you can see it's growing quite nicely. We've grown lettuce on ISS, and we've grown flowers on ISS, and we've also grown grass on ISS. So we're working our way across the options and the spectrum to see how many different varieties of things we can grow, and the eventual goal is to be able to be self-sustaining with providing food for astronauts in space.
And I think this is our last question.
Hi, my name is Abigail Carpenter. I'm from Booker T. Washington High School. My question is, what kind of science lab equipment do you have on the International Space Station?
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good question. We thought about this earlier. We have multiple different pieces of equipment, similar to what you might have in a chemistry class. We've got combustion integrated rack that Ricky already mentioned, fluids integrated rack. So we've got sort of like Bunsen burners in there to burn things and see how they react in space, how different elements react in space. We have microscope, we have spectrometers, we have a microscience glove box, which provides a controlled environment for us to work inside of, which is will contain any debris that any experiments create, and also help provide a fresh airflow flowing through there, so it's a contained place to work. We have centrifuge in a few centrifuges in different equipment. We have our minus 80 degree freezers, very, very cold freezers to get frozen state of experiments, freeze them in place. So we have just about everything up here you can imagine for executing science. Some things we don't even see because they're hidden behind the surfaces of the racks and experiments, and our job is really just to put equipment in and experiments in and samples in and take them back out. But we've got a full suite of equipment up here to do that work.
We thank everyone for joining us today, both here in Tulsa and online, and we send our warmest greetings to Ricky and Drew. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we'd like to appreciate you spending your time inspiring all of us lifelong learners here on Earth. Thank you.
Great having you on board. All the best, and wishing everyone a good end of the school year and a nice summer.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants from Tulsa Air and Space Museum. Station, we're now resuming operational audio communication.
Houston, station on 2 for WHC.
Go ahead, station.
Hey, Rebecca, get some serial numbers when you're ready.
Ready to copy.
Okay, the new hose is serial number 1060060, and the filter is 1207232. The number of flushes, 14,490.
Copy all. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Rebecca. Huntsville Station on 2, checking to see if we're enabled on Space to Ground 3 and if you're ready for Step 3 in the Sir Rack Doors Open procedure.
And good morning, Ricky. We're here with you on Space to Ground 2. Want to let you know that Tracy Neff is now enabled on
Yes,
Space to
Anton,
Ground
go
4.
ahead on Space to Ground 1. Separation is complete, ATV is restored, and I'm
thank you and good morning.
Happy, thank you. Welcome.
Houston, station on 2 for MCA.
With you on 2, go ahead.
Hey, Rebecca. If you guys by chance want HV1 closed early, let me know. I'll just be around the corner working on tool config.
Scott, we're actually ready for it anytime.
Okay, I'll put it in work now then. Thanks.
Copy that.